Hi everybody. Welcome to episode 11 of The One and Only Ivan. In the last section, we learned that Julia gave Ivan finger paints and that he enjoyed using them and seeing his handprint left behind. This section is called The Story. I look at the ring layered with fresh sawdust. I look at the skylight, at the half-hidden moon. I just thought of a story, I say. Is it a made-up story or a true one? Ruby asks. True, I say. I hope. Ruby leans against the bars. Her eyes hold the pale moon in them, the way a still pond holds stars. Oh my goodness, that's a beautiful sentence. Can I read that one again? Her eyes hold the pale moon in them, the way a still pond holds stars. Can you imagine what that might look like? Once upon a time, I say, there was a baby elephant. She was a smart and brave baby elephant. She needed to go to a place called a zoo. What's a zoo? Ruby asks. A zoo, Ruby, is a place where humans make amends. To make amends means to say you're sorry or to try to make up for something that you've done in the past. A good zoo is a place where humans care for animals and keep them safe. Did the baby elephant get to the zoo? Ruby asks softly. I don't answer right away. Yes, I say at last. How did she get there? Ruby asks. She has a friend, I say. A friend who made a promise. Who do you think that friend is? And who do you think the baby elephant in the story is? And what does that tell you about Ivan's thought process? That he's really working on it, right? He wants to promise Stella that he would take care of Ruby. And he wants to do that so much. This section is called How. It takes a long time, but finally Ruby returns to sleep. Ivan, Bob whispers, yawning, what you said about zoos, how are you going to do it? Suddenly I feel as if I could sleep for 1,000 days. I don't know, I admit. You'll think of something, Bob says confidently, his voice trailing off as his eyes close. What if I don't? I ask, but Bob is already asleep. His little red feet dance, and I know he's running in his dream. Have you ever seen a dog dreaming? My dog dreams sometimes, and she kind of even whimpers and barks in her dreams. This section's called Remembering. Bob and Ruby sleep on. I don't sleep. I think about the promise I made to Stella and the pictures I've made for Ruby, and I remember. I remember it all. This section's called What They Did. We were clinging to our mother, my sister and I, when the humans killed her. They shot my father next. Then they chopped off their hands, their feet, their heads. That was hard to hear. That was really hard to hear. Maybe there's a reason why Ivan wasn't, quote unquote, remembering that. This is called Something Else to Buy. There is a cluttered, musty store near my cage. They sell an ashtray there. It's made from the hand of a gorilla. Wow, what a horrible, horrible thing. This chapter's called Another Ivan. When the morning comes and the parking lot glimmers with dew, I see the billboard on the highway. There I am, the one and only Ivan, bathed in the pink light of dawn. I look so angry with my furrowed brow, that's like this, and my clenched fists. I look the way my father did the day the men came. I am, I suppose, a peaceful sort. Mostly, I watch the world go by and I think about naps and bananas and yogurt raisins. But inside me, hidden, is another Ivan. He could tear a grown man's limbs off his body. In a flicker of time, it takes a snake's tongue to taste the air. He could taste revenge. I think he's talking about that angry side of himself that feels so traumatized and horrified and hurt by what happened to his family. He is the Ivan on the billboard. I stare at the one and only Ivan, at the faded picture of Stella, and I remember George and Mac on their ladders adding the picture of Ruby to bring new visitors to the Exit 8 Big Top Mall and Video Arcade. I remember the story Ruby told, the one where the villagers came to her rescue. I hear Stella's kind, wise voice. This is what Stella said: "Humans can surprise you sometimes." I look at my fingers coated in red paint, the color of blood, and I know how to keep my promise. This is called Days. During the days, I wait. During the nights, I paint. I worry when Mac takes Ruby into the ring. He carries the claw stick with him all the time now. He doesn't use it. He doesn't have to. Ruby isn't fighting back anymore. She does whatever Mac asks. Nights. I close my eyes. I dip my fingers into the paint. When I'm done with one piece of paper, I set it aside to dry. It's so small, just one sheet, and I'm gonna need so many. I move on to the next, and to the next, and the next. It's a giant puzzle, and I'm making the pieces one by one. By the morning, my floor is covered with paintings. I hide the paintings under my pool of dirty water before Mac can see them. I don't want them to end up in the gift store selling for $20 a piece, $25 with a frame. These paintings are for Ruby, every one of them. Project. Ivan, Ruby asks one morning when I'm trying to nap, "Why are you always so sleepy during the day?" "I've been working on a project at night," I tell her. "What's a project?" "It's a thing. A painting. It's a painting for you, actually," I answer. Ruby looks pleased. "Can I see it?" "Not yet." Ruby pokes with annoyance at her roped foot. She takes a breath. "Ivan, do I have to do the shows with Mac today?" "I'm afraid so, Ruby." "I'm sorry." Ruby dips her trunk into the water bucket. "That's okay," she says. "I already knew that answer." Not right. It's night again and everyone's asleep. I look at the picture I've just made, one of dozens. It's smudged and torn, a muddy blur. I place it beside the others lining my floor. The colors are wrong. The shapes are off. It looks like nothing. It's not what I'm trying to create. It's not what it's meant to be. It's not right, and I don't know why. Across the parking lot, the billboard beckons. That means, it says, "Come here," as it always does. "Come to the Exit 8 Big Top Mall and Video Arcade, home of the one and only Ivan, mighty Silverback." If I could use my human words to say what I need to say, this would all be so easy. Instead, I have my pots of paint and my ragged pages. I sigh. My fingertips glow like jungle flowers. I try again. Going nowhere. I watch Ruby plod around the ring in endless circles, going nowhere. More visitors have been coming, but not many. Mac says Ruby's not picking up the slack after all. He says he's cutting back on our food. He says he's turning off the heat at night to save money. Ruby looks thinner to me, more wrinkled than Stella ever was. Do you think Ruby's eating enough? I asked Bob. I don't know. I'll tell you one thing though. You're sure as heck painting enough. Bob wrinkles his nose. That stench is unbelievable. Stench is a synonym for a bad smell. And I found yellow paint in my tail this morning. Bob doesn't seem happy about the painting. Oh, and that's what the next sentence says. Bob isn't happy about my night painting. He says it's unnatural. Now, while I work at my art, Bob sleeps on Not Tag. He claims he prefers her because she doesn't snore. He says her belly doesn't rise and fall and make him seasick. What is this plan of yours anyway? Bob asks. If you explained it to me, I could help out. He gnaws on his tail. Maybe I could come up with something that doesn't involve, paint. I can't explain it, I tell him. It's an idea in my head, but I can't get it right. And anyway, I'm almost out of supplies. I should have known I wouldn't have enough. I kick at my tire swing. It's spattered with drops of blue paint. It's a stupid idea. I doubt that, Bob says. Smelly, yes. Stupid, never. Bad guys. Most of the day, I doze. Late in the afternoon, Mac approaches. Bob slips under Not Tag. He prefers to keep a low profile around Mac. Mac's gaze falls on my pool. A corner of one of my paintings is visible. What's that, big guy? He asks. I calmly eat an orange, ignoring him, but my heart is racing. Mac kicks at my plastic pool. Underneath it are all of the paintings. Mac yanks on a piece of paper. It slips out easily, and he doesn't seem to notice the other paintings. The page is striped with green, which is what happens when blue paint and yellow paint get together. It's supposed to be a patch of grass. Not bad. Where'd you get the paint anyway? George's kid? He considers. I bet I can get 30 for this picture, maybe even 40. We knew he would think of that. Mac turns on my TV. It's a Western. There's a human with a big hat and a small gun. He has a shiny star pinned to his chest. That means he is the sheriff and he will be getting rid of all the bad guys. If this sells quick, I'm getting you some more of that paint, buddy, Mac says. He walks away with my painting, Ruby's painting. For a moment, I imagine what it would feel like to be the sheriff. We're going to pause there, friends. We'll be back next time. We're finishing on page 183 if you are following along in a book at home.